Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now the beginning of May of 2023, and as we approach the summer, this is where basically Disney and Lucasfilm are going to begin their marketing plan for the Ahsoka Tano series leading into August. Now, they're currently aiming for either mid or late August for a release date for the Ahsoka Tano series to leave enough leeway to kind of market this perfectly by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. We already know that Ray Stevenson has said that this series is going off the wall. It is amazing. It has the best lightsaber duels that fans will ever have seen since the prequel trilogy. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get into exactly what Disney is doing right now. So, we know that Disney has a plan. And that plan by Bob Iger is to focus mainly on movies again, to bring Star Wars back to the theaters. Now, there's a bit of a standstill. Kathleen Kennedy wants a movie released every 2 to 3 years. Bob Iger is pushing for an annual Star Wars movie. This is something that's being knocked back and forth between the two on exactly which path they want to go. And obviously, I think some fans will agree or disagree on Kathleen Kennedy's vision or Bob Iger's. You're going to have a lot of fans that are going to prefer different time, frames set in between each movie. Now, when you look at stuff like this, one thing in particular has a lot to do with the fact of what they are about to announce by this summer, or should I say by this fall, that's going to be prepared by this summer. Now, with Disney and Lucasfilm now preparing to develop multiple new projects like shows and films that will be announced later this year, Disney is said to be planning the announcement of the first Old Republic film by the fall. That will, of course, serve as the first of a trilogy that will be presented at D23. That's basically in September. With actress Mila Kunis and actor Keanu Reeves currently becoming part of the cast, we talked about this earlier. Very well-known actresses and actors who are already affiliated with Disney or not affiliated are coming on board of this project and are in the talks for entering into Star Wars. Now, one of which is actress Angelina Jolie, who is being eyed for one of the other villains in the Old Republic film. Disney CEO Bob Iger and the executives are said to be mixing actors that have never been in Star Wars before, or actors that are already affiliated with Disney. With Jolie as part of Marvel's The Eternals film already, from Marvel, of course, Jolie and her agent have been in heavy talks with Disney about taking on the role of one of the main leads. Given that one part of the story is aimed to focus on the Rule of Two origin story, it could very well be that she is aimed to portray Darth Zana by Bane's side. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but we talked about this too, that this Old Republic-centered film is going to have multiple stories that are going to bounce back and forth between time, eventually clashing together on all the characters' lives across space and time. Now, the best way to describe it, and I've put this out before in the past, is it's like Star Wars meets the movie Crash, where it focuses on different character groups and their decisions actually affect others' decisions. Alright, it's an interesting format, and they're going to test the waters out with the first film, see if that format works, if it doesn't work, if they get backlash, or if they don't. It's going to be interesting. So, the only thing that the fans might be very well divided over this plan to get Jolie on board is, yes, we know she has a lot of star power. She's a very well-known actress, and lately she's been open to doing pretty much any role that she gets, and I respect that. I kind of like that. Initially, Jolie would really be very specific on what she wanted to do, kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio. That's why you don't really see her in a lot of movies. It's very well spaced out, multiple years, mind you, too. So this would be very much interesting because she's already affiliated with Disney. She did Marvel's The Eternals, and this is why I say this might split or divide the fandom, is because The Eternals was not well received. There was a lot of fans that were Marvel fans, or even common moviegoers that didn't know much about Marvel, that did not like this movie for multiple reasons. I mean, some of you guys may have liked it, but a lot of fans out there did not like The Eternals, at all. So, it did have very low fan reception. It wasn't really well received. So, I don't think that's a problem. Let's be honest here. That's the writing of the movie that was at fault. I don't think it was the casting. I don't think it was Jolie's fault. I think that she's a great actress. She did a good job in that movie. But, the writing may have not been there. But when you look at an Old Republic film, and if it's going to be written for her, and how she's going to match that character, it could absolutely work if the execution is on point. Now, moving on, alright, now Disney's plan is to bring in a mixture of A-list stars and unknowns to create a variety of interest for the Old Republic movies. So far, Disney has been going through the casting of the villains first before they move on to the heroes, such as the Jedi, as this movie is centering on villains more so than the heroes. John and Dave are said to be aware that casting Jolie might be controversial to the Star Wars fans, as the Eternals movie did not perform well. However, they too realize that this will be a well-written story and that her role will be very different from her role in Marvel. The character that Jolie is eyed for is said to wield a double-bladed lightsaber dressed in black clothing under code name Viper. This is likely to be Zana, as one main story within the film will focus on the rule of two, and as you all know, Darth Zana wields a double-bladed lightsaber, so it makes sense. Unless it's a character that's loosely based on her, I highly doubt that, because we have the rule of two being centered. Now, what's great about this is that not only do you have star power coming to the roles of the first Old Republic film, but you also have a lot of great stories to tell. And the rule of two, the origin of that, I think fits in perfectly. A lot of fans have always wanted to learn more about that, you know, especially casual fans and common moviegoers. So, like a lot of other elements of Star Wars that have not really been pretty much explored in live-action form just yet, this is definitely one of them. You know, as far as all fans know, the rule of two is just something that's mainly mentioned heavily in the books, or the comics, or stuff around those lines, right? In the movies, yeah, I mean, you know, you see the two villains, like Maul and Palpatine, or Maul, and stuff around those lines, or the overall idea of Dooku and Palpatine eventually, Vader and Palpatine, you know, you get the idea. So a lot of fans kind of already had that idea subconsciously in their mind that only two exist. Even Yoda kind of, you know, somewhat says it. He says, always two there are, a master and apprentice, but he never talks about, you know, the rule of two. That was mainly a thing in the books. So it's interesting that they are really set on expanding that. Kind of like how you don't see other elements of Star Wars in live action. We haven't seen much holocrons in the franchise all that well, at least in full use when they're activated. That's something, by the way, that they are planning to do in the Ahsoka series, so looking forward to that too. There's a lot of aspects of the Star Wars lore that is just waiting to be delivered into live action form. So again, D23 this year, September. We're not all that far ways out, actually, if you really think about it. And it's going to be interesting about the current slate of Star Wars movies and TV shows binding, you know, together. Now, the only concern I have is the writer's strike. How much of an impact is it going to have on the delays of these movies and these TV shows? Let alone The Mandalorian Season 4, for starters. Is that going to get delayed? Is it not? Well, it all depends on if it's going to be a month, is it going to be 2 months or 3? It really is all dependent on that. So, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.